for this session Dr. Amna Mirza along with Surbhi. Dr. Amna Mirza is a board member of the Valley of Words. She is an academician, author, social entrepreneur, and curator of ideas, and Vox Populi for the VoW Fest over the years. Today, she is joining us on stage with another interesting online MP debate on the topic Foreign policy should be realistic, not idealistic. Over to you, ma'am. A round of applause for her.
Good afternoon, everybody. A very warm welcome to our annual Vox Populi Parliamentarians Debate. This is a very special session for us, and it has been every year, because over here we gather to celebrate the freedom of thought and expression and all the diverse ideas that all of us believe in. This platform allows us for a very meaningful conversations where all the different perspectives are shared in a forum like ours, which encourages a lot of open dialogue. In the previous years, we have had the honor of hosting very esteemed parliamentarians who have expressed and shared their insights on topics like urbanization, decentralization, and even whether India should have English as a national language or not, amongst many others. This year also, we are very delighted to welcome a lot of different parliamentarians from various political parties who will share their views on our topic. As always, we believe that art is a form of creative expression, and this free-willing format in which we conduct this session is something that makes this unique debate more interesting and engaging. So, in order to know more about this year's session and the topic, I'd like to invite Dr. Amna Mirza on the stage, who will shed some more light on the same. Thank you. Ma'am, please come in.
Greetings, namaskar, andriki namaskaram, elevarkum vanakkam. So greetings everyone. Gratitude for being part of the Vox Populi Parliamentarians Debate, a very different yet very unique segment that we have every year at the Valley of Words International Arts and Literature Festival. At the outset, our many thanks, बहुत धन्यवाद समस्त फेस्टिवल टीम को कि आपने हमें आज ये उत्सव में इस प्लेटफॉर्म पे हमें मौका दिया कि आज ये बेहतरीन सत्र हम आपके बीच प्रस्तुत करें. Thank you team for having us. So we're going to be having a very unique segment where it's going to be an online segment wherein we have parliamentarians coming forward from various political parties expressing their perspectives in a freewheeling format. We all know that public life, public discourse has always something important to tell us, and ideas indeed demand interrogation. So here we are putting together these two different and significant things, the world of public realm, the public discourse, and bringing it forward in the bigger interrogation of the ideas. This year, the topic, again very important, foreign policy should be realist, not idealist. हमारी विदेश नीति को यथार्थवादी तत्व के नजदीक होना चाहिए, आदर्शवादी नहीं. As a literary platform, as an artistic forum, we believe in complete neutrality, complete being non-partisan. And that's why every year our topics have a question mark and an exclamation. We present ideas and then we leave it up to the people at large to take more from it. विचारों के मंथन को हम आम जन तक पहुंचाते हैं और फिर आम जन के विचारों सहित उस विषय के महत्व को और बेहतरीन तरीके से समझते हैं. For the very important topic that foreign policy should be realist and not idealist, as we reached out to members of the parliament from various political parties, we presented them certain important questions for them to reflect on the topic. And again, it's a freewheeling format wherein it was up to them to accept, to reject, to interrogate, to agree, to disagree. These are their individual positions, because we truly believe that public life, public realm, public discourse demands that we must keep on understanding the now, the why, the how, and so on and so forth. We all know foreign policy as per the mainstream perspective has been put forward in the manner that it should be realist. It should be the bigger doctrine of survival, statism, national interest, self-help, what the mainstream realist literature states. विदेश नीति को यथार्थवादी दृष्टिकोण से कहीं ना कहीं एक रूपीय दृष्टिकोण से देखा गया है। पर आज विश्व की परिस्थिति बदल चुकी है। काल चक्र जिस तरह से आगे बढ़ा, पहले विश्व युद्ध के बाद दूसरा विश्व युद्ध, दूसरे विश्व युद्ध के बाद शीत युद्ध के पश्चात जब आज की दुनिया को जब हम देखते हैं, वी आर लिविंग इन नॉट ओनली इन अ पोस्ट ग्लोबलाइजेशन एज, but we are equally understanding how do we make sense of the fourth industrial revolution, how do we make sense of the big AI challenge, how do we grapple with the digital age, and above all, today the formats of warfare have completely changed. आज युद्ध केवल सैन्य का तत्व नहीं है, वहाँ पर जलवायु परिवर्तन, वहाँ पर पैंडेमिक, वहाँ पे तकनीकी आविष्कार आदि भी शामिल हैं. So can we really think that foreign policy should be only as per a unilinear realist direction, or perhaps it demands much more decentralized people's perspective, grassroots orientations, or what perhaps India has recently spoken about at the G20 New Delhi Leaders Declaration last year, that is human-centric globalization. That is, let's focus on the people element. We can't shut the doors towards the big aspect. अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर पे निस्संदेह राज्य ही सबसे महत्वपूर्ण स्तंभ है. राज्य को सत्ता और राष्ट्र हित का ध्यान रखना है, लेकिन साथ साथ आज दूसरी आवाज को भी हम अनदेखा नहीं कर सकते कि राज्य को गैर सरकारी कारक जो हैं, the state must factor in the non-state actors like technology, big corporations, big giants, big non-gains like the economic gains, the cultural gains amongst others. आज के इस सत्र में, जो कि ऑनलाइन सत्र है, we have the opening remarks presented by Professor Rekha Saxena, head and professor at the Department of Political Science, University of Delhi. We have parliamentarians Kamaljeet Sehrawat ji from the Bharatiya Janata Party, Gaurav Gogoi ji from Indian National Congress, Lavu Krishna Garu from Telugu Desam Party, Professor Manoj Jha from Rashtriya Janata Dal, Sant Balbir Seechewal ji from Aam Aadmi Party, Dr. V. Sivadasan ji from Communist Party of India Marxist, and Pushpendra Saroj, the youngest member of parliament right now in the current Lok Sabha from the Samajwadi Party. So here we are, all set to deliberate that foreign policy should be realist, not idealist. Let's hear from the distinguished professors, from the distinguished parliamentarians, and again, it's freewheeling format because that's what the real purpose of arts is, to nurture the creative expression, to bring forward the best colors on the canvas of learning, wisdom, knowing, and more. So everyone, let's have a thunderous applause. Though it's an online session, but our parliamentarians are sending us all good wishes as they put forward their views. So let's have the video. Vox Populi, foreign policy should be realist, not idealist.
Greetings to Team Vox Populi at the Valley of Words International Literature and Arts Festival and all esteemed parliamentarians. I am really delighted to see parliamentarians from across party lines engaging in a very vibrant discussion on such a vital topic, contributing diverse perspectives and insights. The topic foreign policy should be realistic rather than idealistic, being debated at Vox Populi Parliamentarian Debate, invites us to explore the very essence of national interest. As we all know that the realist perspective in international relations, which remains dominant, emphasizes the competitive and conflictual nature of global relations. This school of thought poses that foreign policy must prioritize pragmatism and national interest, often interdependent of idealistic principles. However, I would say that contemporary challenges such as international trade, environmental concerns, agrarian issues, and search for new energy sources demonstrate that even a realist approach requires cooperation and collaboration. Further, non-traditional security threats impact the daily lives of citizens, necessitating a nuanced understanding of realism that accommodates global interdependence. Now, drawing from my own research on treaty making powers, I think it is worth considering that while international trade may fall within the Union's domain, but agriculture remains a state subject in Indian federal structure. So while navigating trade-offs in WTO negotiations, for instance, it is really crucial to federalize the decision-making process and take the states on board. This ensures that the interests of both union and state level stakeholders are aligned and represented. In the current geopolitical landscape, where domestic governance and international affairs are deeply intertwined, I think the debate between realism and idealism in foreign policy demands re-examination. Interests are multidimensional, and a balanced approach, mindful of both national security and broader global cooperation, seems essential. I extend my best wishes to all the parliamentarians participating in this forum, as well as to Team Vox Populi at the Valley of Words International Literature Festival. Literature and arts, I would say, indeed have the power to inspire individuals across sectors to think critically, broaden their perspectives, and ask the right questions, ultimately, fostering positive change. So thank you so much and all the best.
भारत विश्व का सबसे बड़ा लोकतंत्र देश है और इस लोकतंत्र देश की सबसे बड़ी खूबसूरती ये है कि हमारे विदेशी देशों के साथ जो संबंध है वो सम्मान के हैं, बराबर के हैं और एक दूसरे के साथ सुख दुख में काम आने के हैं। ये आज भारत की फॉरेन पॉलिसी है कि रशिया और यूक्रेन के अंदर युद्ध हो रहा है लेकिन भारत के बच्चे सुरक्षित आ रहे हैं। और आज ये भारत की विश्व गुरु बनने की जो एक नियति रहती है अपने मदद के स्वभाव से, उसका सबसे बड़ा उदाहरण है कि कोविड के समय 100 से अधिक देशों में जो दवाई खरीद नहीं पाए, बना नहीं पाए, उनको भारत ने मुफ्त में वो दवाई उपलब्ध कराई। आज नेपाल, बांग्लादेश में चाहे हालात कुछ भी है लेकिन भारत ने हमेशा उनकी मदद की है। तो नेपाल, श्रीलंका, इनके साथ जो संबंध है वो पड़ोसियों के साथ संबंध कैसे होने चाहिए, ये भारत की विदेश नीति की सबसे बड़ी सफलता है। और विदेशों की जो हमेशा एक अप्रोच रही है भारत को लेकर, उसमें आज की जो विदेश पॉलिसी है वो बहुत रियलिस्टिक है और भारत को सम्मान दिलाने वाली है। तो मैं भारत के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री श्री नरेंद्र मोदी जी को धन्यवाद करना चाहती हूँ कि आज सम्मान के साथ भारत लोकतंत्र की व्यवस्था को गरिमामय उपस्थिति बनाते हुए विश्व में अपना स्थान।
Hello, I'm Gaurav Gogoi. I look forward to the Vox Populi event and I wish the organizers the very best, and I'm happy to be a part of this program. Thank you.
See, today the world is being faced with this challenge of certain nations who are acting very aggressively. And these nations are also acting in the neighborhood of India. And foreign policy should be such that protects India's relationship with its neighbors, expands India's influence within its neighborhood, and creates goodwill amongst people of other neighboring countries. And the neighborhood is the most important factor for the foreign policy of any nation. And if we see our neighbors, we have not managed to push back the Chinese army from their military bases across the northeast and the north of our border. We don't have an influence in Afghanistan. We have lost an influential government in Bangladesh without this government having any clue. We've managed to put ourselves in such a position in Maldives, in Nepal, in Sri Lanka, that India no longer speaks to the government of those countries, but it speaks to only certain political parties. And therefore, when another party forms the government in any of these nations, immediately it impacts the relationship between India and that country. Now that just shows how short-sightedness our entire foreign policy has been within our own neighborhood. And therefore, I feel that India has much to do. We have lost a lot of influence. Even if you look in terms of private investment, if you look at major companies who are coming up and setting up their bases in India, you see a lot of American firms actually shutting shop. The automobile sector, whether you look at the Ford, you look at the GMs, they are not being able to grow. Yes, we have certain influence within Apple in the electronics component, in the mobile sector component. But the bulk of jobs happens in manufacturing, which relates to automobiles and heavy machinery. And again, I must say, India has not done well in attracting private investment. In fact, due to the global macroeconomic environment, we see a lot of foreign portfolio investors taking their money out of India. Thirdly, you are seeing that many Indians are going to other countries through an illegal route. This has been raised by parliaments of various countries in Canada, in the UK, in Australia, in the US also. And data shows that the number of Indians entering Europe and North America over the last 6-7 years illegally has only increased. So clearly we have not managed to get enough legal visas for our Indians. And therefore our Indians are forced to choose an illegal route. Had India been a global power, we would have able to expand the number of visas for our high skilled as well as low skilled. But government of India is only focused on our high skilled immigrants and not doing enough for our low skilled workforce who is seeking to gain an important livelihood in North America or Europe. So whether it's for Indians, whether it's for our maritime and our physical neighborhood, our boundaries, or with the relationships within our own neighborhood, I think the Indian foreign policy over the last 7-10 years has been disappointing, and there are many factors for that, and we can get into that later. It should be realist but bound in the culture of that country, bound by the values of that country. Because what defines realism could be different from a Chinese narrative, from an American narrative, from a South American narrative, and from an Indian narrative. So, we obviously we have to bring in our civilization values towards appreciating science and technology, to appreciating multilateralism, democracy, to appreciating tolerance for different ideologies and religions and identities. I think that's the gift that India brings into negotiations on global tables, where we understand.
Congratulations, Amna and Tushita, for once again coming up with an amazing literature festival, Vox Populi. It's not an easy job to conduct such a literature festival year after year. Congratulations to both of you. And coming to the major topic of this festival, which is regarding having a realistic foreign policy. That is the need of the hour, because India being at the center of everything that is happening across the globe, either Russia-Ukraine conflict or Palestine and Israel conflict, or as of today, the development that is happening with regards to the India-Canada. So everything that is happening around us, we are at the center of it, and we have to tread very carefully as a developing economy, as an economy that is actually pulling everything with regards to the world economy together. So we have to be very realistic about that. And we have been, if you have observed with the Russia and Ukraine conflict, we have been professing for peace in the conflict, and at the same time we are having a realistic approach wherein our economy is taken care of with regards to the oil imports and everything. So it's the same with Israel and Middle Eastern conflict that is developing right now. We want peace in that area, but at the same time we don't want to get our relations with either Israel or with Iran tied up or go for a toss. So we have to play a very balancing act, and it's a realistic act that our foreign policy team is playing. And I hope this festival will discuss further on this topic, and I hope this festival will be a huge, huge success. Once again, congratulations. Thank you.
First of all, before I begin to address some of the concerns, which is actually a major theme for this year's Vox Populi, I have always admired this initiative, been part of it in the physical mode, been part of it in offline mode. I think initiatives like this mean a lot. This year's dominant theme, which I'm told, is foreign policy should be realistic rather than idealistic. I somehow disagree with this notion. You know, idealism is not detached to realism as we look at it only at the face value of idealism or realism. Let's go back to our independent movement. We were a very poor country, fighting the colonial structure, fighting hegemonic ideology. I would like the audience to recall that Gandhi, when he spoke about Palestine issue, way back, 80 years ago, he had absolute clarity. He said Palestine belongs to Palestinian people in the same way as France belongs to French people or England belongs to English people. Looking at the global geopolitical situation, it would appear that Gandhi was actually speaking in a language of idealism. But look at the fact, it was a realistic assessment of what was being done to Palestinian people. They were being driven from their own homes. For thousands of years, what was their home, they had no stake in it. So my first observation is that there is no hyphen between realism and idealism. And India has always, we were even in the Cold War era, thanks to the Nehruvian influence on foreign policy, in the Cold War era, we could maintain equal distance from the two major power blocs. And India's role in non-aligned movement, NAM, which is not being discussed anymore these days, that non-alignment was the fundamental premise of our foreign policy. What do we call it? Idealism or realism? We were admired world over because we never looked at the power and decided our foreign policy. We looked at certain core values which emanated out of our freedom movement, which emanated out of our shared concerns spoken in the constitution we have. In recent times, this realism-idealism debate has again gained currency. I don't wish to get into the nitty-gritty in 5-6 minutes. You can't do that. We do that in the parliament. But what is important, recently there has been some unwelcome situation in Bangladesh, particularly with regard to the Hindu, Sikh and the Christian minority. The outrage in India is justifiable. But we must never forget that entire South Asia, what we look at, India, Pakistan and Bangladesh today, once upon a time they were one. We were the single entity called India. Then Pakistan was formed in 47. Interestingly, the same day when I am speaking to you. And 15th of August, we were born. And 71, Bangladesh was born. We must never overlook the fact, a basic fact, that because we were one, there has to be a shared sense of how do we respect, how do we treat our minorities in each country, whether it is India, whether it is Pakistan, whether it is Bangladesh, because there would be repercussion. Repercussion is bound to happen. That what happens in India might find a kind of what we call some kind of impact in Pakistan or Bangladesh. So what I essentially wish to say, that India's foreign policy should be
ਬਹੁਤ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਿਆਰ ਭਰੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ। ਸੋ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਫੋਰਨ ਪਾਲਿਸੀ ਆ ਇਹ ਲਗਾਤਾਰ ਸਾਡੇ ਮੁਲਕ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈ ਲੰਬੇ ਸਮੇਂ ਤੋਂ ਗੁੱਟ ਨਿਰਲੇਪ ਸਾਡਾ ਮੁਲਕ ਰਿਹਾ, ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਧਰੂਵੀਕਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਵੀ ਬਾਹਰ ਰਿਹਾ। ਕਿਸੇ ਵੇਲੇ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਤੇ ਰਸ਼ੀਆ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਇਹ ਵੱਖਰੀਆਂ ਵੱਖਰੀਆਂ ਦੋ ਤਾਕਤਾਂ ਸੀ, ਪਰ ਉਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਵੀ ਭਾਰਤ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਆਪਣਾ ਵੱਖਰੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈ ਗੁੱਟ ਨਿਰਲੇਪ ਮੁਲਕਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਮੂਹ ਬਣਾ ਕੇ ਆਪਣੀ ਨੀਤੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਵੱਖਰੀ ਰੱਖੀ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਝ ਜਦੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਮੁਲਕਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਵਪਾਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਦੂਸਰੇ ਮੁਲਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਾਡੀ ਆਵਾਜਾਈ ਆ, ਬਹੁਤ ਕੁਝ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਉਹ ਇਸ ਫੋਰਨ ਨੀਤੀ ਨੂੰ ਪ੍ਰਭਾਵਿਤ ਕਰਦਾ। ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਮੁਲਕ ਆ, ਸਾਡੀ ਨੀਤੀ ਆ ਕਿ ਸਾਰਾ ਵਿਸ਼ਵ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਇੱਕ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਆ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਦੇ ਤੌਰ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਮੁਲਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਦੇਖਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਰੋਜ਼ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ, ਨਾਨਕ ਨਾਮ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਭਾਣੇ ਸਰਬੱਤ ਦਾ ਭਲਾ। ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਭਲਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਮਿਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਪੂਰੇ ਭਾਰਤ ਦਾ ਕਿ ਪੂਰਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਵਿਸ਼ਵ ਆ ਉਹ ਸ਼ਾਂਤੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਵਸੇ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਵਿਕਾਸ ਉੱਥੇ ਹੋ ਸਕਦਾ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਅਮਨ ਸ਼ਾਂਤੀ ਆ, ਭਾਈਚਾਰਕ ਸਾਂਝ ਆ। ਸੋ ਉਹਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਬਹੁਤ ਧਰਮ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਸਾਡਾ ਮੁਲਕ ਆ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਧਰਮਾਂ ਦੇ ਲੋਕ ਰਹਿੰਦੇ ਆ, ਪਰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਸਾਡਾ ਮੁਲਕ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਧਰਮ ਨਿਰਲੇਪ ਆ, ਇੱਕ ਸਾਡਾ ਕੋਈ ਰਾਜਨੀਤਿਕ ਧਰਮ ਨਹੀਂ। ਸੋ ਇਸ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਾਡੀ ਫੋਰਨ ਪਾਲਿਸੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਧਰਾਤਲ ਅਨੁਸਾਰ ਜੁੜੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ, ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈ ਸੱਚਾਈ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ। ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਪ੍ਰਭਾਵਿਤ ਕਰਦੀਆਂ ਪਰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਸੱਚਾਈ ਦੇ ਨਾਲੋਂ ਟੁੱਟਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਧਰਤੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਤਾਂ ही ਅਸੀਂ लंबे समय तक ਜਿਹੜਾ है ਅੱਗੇ बढ़ सकते हैं।
सर, फॉरेन पॉलिसी में जब विदेश नीति की हम बात करते हैं, आज जो गांव के पिंडा के विषय हैं, चाहे वो जलवायु परिवर्तन हो, शिक्षा हो, वीज़ा हो, उसमें राज्यों की बात भी सुननी चाहिए। केंद्र तो महत्वपूर्ण है, हम सदा देश के साथ हैं, पर जो राज्य के विषय हैं वो भी सुनने चाहिए। क्या सही है ये?
ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀ ਇਸ ਵੇਲੇ ਸਮੱਸਿਆ ਹੈ ਰਾਜਾਂ ਦੀ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਪੂਰਾ ਸਾਰੇ ਰਾਜਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੂਰੀ ਤਰਜੀਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ ਕਿ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਹਾਲਾਤ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਕਿ ਉੱਥੇ ਯੂਥ ਕੋਈ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਰੇ ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਜਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਰਾਜਨੀਤਿਕ ਵਿਤਕਰਾ ਹੈ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਸਟੇਟਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਉਹ ਸਮੱਸਿਆ ਖੜੀਆਂ ਕਰਦਾ। ਭਾਵੇਂ ਇਹ ਸਮੱਸਿਆ ਹੈ ਰਾਜਾਂ ਦੀ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਪੂਰਾ ਸਾਰੇ ਰਾਜਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੂਰੀ ਤਰਜੀਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੁਣ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਕਰੀਏ ਕਿ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਦੇ ਹਾਲਾਤ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਕਿ ਉੱਥੇ ਯੂਥ ਕੋਈ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦਾ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਰੇ ਦੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਜਾਣਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਾਡਾ ਰਾਜਨੀਤਿਕ ਵਿਤਕਰਾ ਹੈ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਸਟੇਟਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ, ਉਹ ਸਮੱਸਿਆ ਖੜੀਆਂ ਕਰਦਾ। ਭਾਵੇਂ ਸਦਾ ਕਿਸੇ ਦੇ ਹੱਥ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਵੇ, ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦਾ ਰਾਜ ਹੋਵੇ, ਪਰ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਟੇਟਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹਾ ਵਿਹਾਰ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਬਰਾਬਰ ਦਾ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਸਟੇਟ ਵਿਕਾਸ ਕਰ ਸਕਣ। ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਫੰਡ ਆ ਉਹ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਰਾਬਰ ਦੇ ਮਿਲਣੇ ਚਾਹੀਦੇ ਆ। ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ, ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਮੁਲਕ ਇੱਕ ਯੂਥ ਮੁਲਕ ਆ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਭਰ ਤੋਂ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਯੂਥ ਆ ਉਹ ਭਾਰਤ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੈ। ਸੋ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਯੂਥ ਨੂੰ ਜੇ ਸਾਡਾ ਮੁਲਕ ਅੱਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਹੀ ਵਧ ਸਕਦਾ ਜੇਕਰ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਹਰ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਟੈਕਨੀਕਲੀ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਧਰਤੀ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਕੰਮ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਪ੍ਰੈਕਟੀਕਲ ਕਰ ਸਕੀਏ, ਨਾ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਕਿਤਾਬੀ ਪੜ੍ਹਾਈ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜ ਕੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ ਵਿਦਵਾਨ ਨਹੀਂ ਬਣ ਸਕਦੇ। ਪਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਟੈਕਨੀਕਲੀ ਐਜੂਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੋਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਰਹਿ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਬੇਰੁਜ਼ਗਾਰੀ ਵੱਧਦੀ ਆ ਤੇ ਜਿਹਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਮਾਜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ ਕਈ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀਆਂ ਬੁਰਾਈਆਂ ਵੀ ਆਉਂਦੀਆਂ। ਸਾਨੂੰ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਕਿ ਸਰਕਾਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਵਿਦੇਸ਼ ਨੀਤੀ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਅੱਗੇ ਵਧਣਾ ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਦੇਸ਼ ਦੇ ਅੰਦਰ ਕੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈ ਉਹ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਕਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤਿਆਰ ਕਰੀਏ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਜੇਕਰ ਬਾਹਰ ਵੀ ਜਾਣ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੀ ਮੁਲਕ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੁੜੇ ਰਹਿਣ ਤਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਹੈਗਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਮੁਲਕ ਦਾ ਹੋਰ ਵਿਕਾਸ ਹੋਵੇ।
सर, विषय को लेकर आपके फाइनल रिमार्क, कंक्लूडिंग रिमार्क कि विदेश नीति को यथार्थ होना चाहिए, केंद्र सरकार का महत्व होना चाहिए, पर राज्य का जो विषय है, क्योंकि आज सुरक्षा सर केवल सैनिक की नहीं है, आज सुरक्षा जल की है, शिक्षा की है, सुरक्षा आमजन की है, तो क्या इसमें केंद्र को केवल एक रास्ता करना चाहिए, सबको लेकर साथ चलना चाहिए? समृद्ध
ਜਿਹੜਾ ਵਾਤਾਵਰਣ ਦਾ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਹੈ ਇਹ ਇੰਟਰਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਮੁੱਦਾ, ਇਹ ਕਿਸੇ ਇੱਕ ਸਟੇਟ ਦਾ ਮੁੱਦਾ ਨਹੀਂ, ਕਿਸੇ
The foreign policy, basically that is a reflection of the domestic policy of the government. The foreign policy, it is very closely connected with the internal policy and the program of the government. The history of the nation already proved that. When we have proved our commitment to the anti-colonial struggle, we have registered, but now we are seeing our own government, the union government, they are supporting Israel. There we have conducted various programs to support Palestinian issues, and international level we have registered our commitment to the anti-colonial struggle and the movement. So in this period, the anti-colonial movement, anti-imperialist movement is very important. So the foreign policy of the nation should be connected this movement and the policy. That's it. Is the base of the foreign policy of our nation. It was formed after the struggle of the independence. The freedom movement, it has given the idea of non-alignment. Yasser Arafat and the leaders like the non-alignment movement, including Jawaharlal Nehru, they have told us the movement of the non-alignment. The aim of the movement is the protection of the third world countries' common people. The internationally, the culture, literature, everything, the literature and our entire culture, they are connected to each nations. Basically I'm coming from Kerala. The Maxim Gorky and Victor Hugo, these great names influence the students and youth in our areas. How it has happened? The line of the stanza of Neruda, the youth and students are using these lines for their own cultural programs. Victor Hugo, Neruda, and the poets like Robert Frost, these all names are in the heart of the students and youth. Why it was happened? The culture and the literary works, it influenced entire society. So we are getting lot of things from these literary works and art festivals. So the solidarity of the movements, solidarity of the working people prove the importance of the.
Thank you for having me, and greetings to all my members and a member of Parliament in this debate. As a member of Parliament of India, I believe foreign policy is crucial for national security, economic growth, global influence, diaspora engagement, development and technology, and cultural diplomacy. I believe effective foreign policy should ensure India's development and global standing. Yes, I agree that foreign policy must be realistic, prioritizing rationality and national interest. While idealistic norms can guide long terms and goals, the primary focus should be on pragmatic and strategic decisions and developments. This approach ensures that India's foreign policy remains effective and adaptable in complex and often unpredictable international environment. I would also like to say that in present-day context, focusing solely on realism may not be sufficient. While realism prioritizes national interest and pragmatic decision-making, contemporary issues are often interconnected and multidimensional. First, global cooperation. Challenges like climate change, pandemics, terrorism require collaborative international and local transparency and efforts. Human rights, values, economic interdependence, and soft power are other issues and challenges which require cohesion. I would also say that balancing realism and idealism and a broader engagement of strategy can help India navigate complex global dynamics effectively. Yes, I agree. A realistic approach to foreign policy must be a focus for everybody, not just state concerns, especially when non-traditional security threats directly impact everyday lives. I would also like to state that trade and commerce, ecological concerns, agrarian issues, new sources of energy, all these should be focused and ensure that foreign policy addresses the well-being of citizens, aligning national interests with the needs of the people. I would also like to take this opportunity to say that foreign policy should not be centralized. We should focus on aligning with the local authorities, with local leaders, so that we can streamline that power and that decision making.
Honorable Member of Parliament, distinguished and respected colleagues, and my dear participants, many thanks to the team Valley of Words, Literature and Arts Festival, Board of Governors for giving me space to the debate in 8th edition. It is my privilege to deliver the vote of thanks for today's enlightening debate on the topic Foreign Policy Should Be Realist and Idealist. The stimulating discussion we had today highlights the nuances of India's approach to foreign policy, balancing pragmatism with ideals. I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to Professor Rekha Saxena ma'am for her insightful opening remarks, setting the tone for the intellectual discourse that followed. A heartfelt thanks to our esteemed panel of parliamentarians who shared their perspectives representing a wide range of political ideologies and experiences. Special thanks to Ms. Kamaljeet Sehrawat ma'am, Mr. Gaurav Gogoi sir, Mr. Lavu sir, Mr. Manoj Jha sir, Mr. Balbir sir, Mr. V. Sivadasan sir, and Mr. Pushpendra Saroj sir. Each of your contributions enriched our understanding of how India can blend realism with idealism in navigating the complex global landscape. I also want to thank curator of the event, Dr. Amna Mirza ma'am, for her invaluable support. Along with this, I would like to thank the organizing committee, our audience, and everyone behind the scene who made this event possible. Your hard work ensures that debates like these continue to foster thoughtful dialogue and intellectual growth. A special thanks to Sanjeev sir and Rishabh sir. In conclusion, today's discussion has left us with a deeper appreciation for the balance needed in foreign policy as we consider both national interest and global responsibilities ahead. So, I, Tushita Bhandari, heartily thank everyone. Special thanks to our attendees and all the participants for making this a successful and engaging event. Thank you.
So here there was multiple perspectives, one common topic: foreign policy should be realist, not idealist. Once again, gratitude to all the distinguished participants, panelists for this very special debate. We have many questions coming forward, and we will be, of course, sharing it across with all the parliamentarians. And the journey does not stop here. The WoW effect, the Vox Populi, the important perspective shall continue, as it says that the best is always there, and arts perform the function of presenting nothing but the best of ideas. So the journey in the quest of learning, unlearning, relearning, and of course in the freewheeling format as we witnessed today with the Vox Populi Parliamentarians Debate, that journey shall continue. Many thanks each and all for your valuable insights. Foreign policy should be realist, not idealist. The interrogation, the debates, the ideas keep going forward, and that's the true hallmark of a democracy. That's the true hallmark of any artistic expression, factoring the people's voice forever. Thank you everyone. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आप सभी का. जय हिंद, जय भारत.